Checking for formula issues can take you a lot of time in Excel, and so in this video I'm going to cover loads of different tricks, including one of the brand new ones to be able to evaluate a formula. It's only available on Microsoft 365, and tons of other ones from a variety of sources and ways to look at them, using formulas, using tools within Excel, using other aspects as well. So let's get started. My name is David and I have tons of videos on Excel, PowerPoint, Google Sheets, Zoom, Teams, Canva. If you're using Tech of the Workplace, I'm covering on my channel, so check out my other videos if you like this kind of content. Let's get started. So brand new in Excel is the ability to go into a formula, and if you click on one of these things in the tooltip, it will show you what the output is. I can even go just this cell and it would show me what that is. And there's that one, and then it will evaluate the whole function if that's what I've selected. Or over here in XLOOKUP, that will show here farming. So C6 is farming. That's what it's showing me there essentially. It can also show you for these kind of arrays. It can show you all of that. And this is a dynamic array when it's got a hashtag afterwards. I have lots of videos on these as well. And then you can hover over part of it or all of it. Now this is brand new for Office 365. If you don't have Office 365, another thing you can do in the Formula tab is you can go to Evaluate Formula, and then it will show you all of these things, and then you can evaluate and see what that is, and then you can keep evaluating and select it part by part. It's not very good, and that's why the new version is a lot better. So other things that you can do, and these are available to all users pretty much, is you do have these green errors, and it is showing you that if it's an inconsistent error. However, it's not showing me here, even though this one is inconsistent to that one. I personally don't find these green things very useful. It's showing me here as well, where obviously that is an error, and then you can do certain things here, but honestly, none of these are particularly useful. Here again, it's showing me this stuff with errors as text. So what I actually do is I disable them. But before we look at that, then I can just show you in here. You can go to error checking, and then it will just kind of go through, and you can go to next. It's kind of like a spell check, but for your errors. What I tend to do though is I don't find those useful. I have other tools I find more useful. So I go to File and Options, and then Formulas, and then I just essentially untick all of these except maybe the first one I keep ticked, and now it will just have it there and it won't have it for the others. This is one that I really want to know. Others I don't find that useful, and as I said, it doesn't even point out the key ones. Instead, in this column, what I really like doing is selecting the column and going to Find and Select, and then go to Special, and then Column Differences. Press OK, and it will select these two. Let me highlight them in a certain color, and we'll see what's going on. So this one is hard coding the number 4000 instead of dividing it by this one. So maybe that used to be the exchange rate at some point. Or it's more likely just an error. And this one is just hard-coded the value completely. So in both of these instances, I've probably done something wrong. In general, you should aim to have a completely consistent formula in your entire column. So if you drag that down, then if you go to Find, Select, go to Special and Column Differences, then it won't find anything, which is great. That's kind of what we want. So I'm going to undo that and then keep them so you can see them as we continue with this video. Other things in Find and Select are go to Special. You can have formulas or constants. So formulas will select every cell with formulas in them, or constants will select the other one. And you can also do that from a subset. So I can select these cells, and I can go to Special and constants, and then I can have subset of just numbers, just logicals, true, falses, etc. And then these are just the numbers that are constants that are there. So that's really good. Here next we have something that is a circular reference. So you may have probably seen these. If I go here and I go to circular references, it shows me both of those, and I can click there to go to it. And what's happening is that this is adding together these cells, but this cell is equal to that cell, so that can't happen. So essentially this probably should be an error, and if I do that, I'll get rid of it, and now I can see that it's not showing me there. Other things which do come in useful is if I click in this cell, for example, I have these two commands. So trace precedents and trace dependents. So trace dependents will be what is this cell later used for. So that is used in another worksheet. That's what this means. And if I double click on the line, I can see what it is. So it's these 3 cells in this data backup, and I press OK, and it takes me to that cell. It's used in a SUMIF function. I can remove arrows, and let's see, for example, this one. So trace dependents will show me these 3. Perfect. Remove arrows. Or I can also say in this one, trace precedents. Precedents is what are the source cells, and there are 2 of them like that. And then I could press it again if there was another one. For example, if this one was equal to this one plus 5, then if I do that, and then I choose trace precedents again from here, then it will show me the 2 level one if I go one by one. So that could be another interesting way that you could check for errors. Or there is also keyboard shortcuts for this. So Control and open bracket will select the precedent. Here, Control and open brackets will select these 2 precedents. And Control and close brackets will select the dependents, multiple ones there. Note that it doesn't work across worksheets for dependents, but it does for precedents. So for example here, if I say this cell is equal to this cell, and now if I do the trace precedents, it will give me this one, and I can double click to see where it is. By the way, if you have a link in another workbook rather than another worksheet, it will show you the same thing. But if I press Control and open square brackets, it will show me that. If I press Control and close square brackets, it will say no cells are found. Bit of a glitch there. Not sure why that happens, but it is a different behavior depending which way you go. Remove arrows will get rid of them. So here I just have the ability to, if I have trace precedents, then it has both of these. It will show me both of those, and it will also show me this one. So it can show you both symbols at the same time as well. Then we have show formulas. I really like this one. So if you click this on, it will show you, instead of the output, what the formula is. You can clearly see there are some differences here. And that can be really useful, particularly if you have some errors around locked cells. So if I say this is converting this one divided by this one, and then let's say I drag it down, then I get all of these errors. If I want to know what's going on, then show formulas, click once to toggle it on, a second time to toggle it off. I click once, here I have the right ones, which is the blue and the red. As I go down, it will go down, and I can see that the blue one is moving down, the red one as well. In most situations, I probably wouldn't want the red one to move up and down, so I would need to lock that by pressing the F4 key on my keyboard. That is absolute referencing, which I'm not going to go into detail in this video, and that's going to fix it. But show formulas, I really like toggling that on or off if you want to investigate an issue. It does also have a shortcut, which is Control and accent grave to turn it on off. Accent grave is the number to the left of 1, the key to the left of 1 on your keyboard on most keyboards. It's under the tilde usually as well. Watch window. This is one that is kind of interesting. If you click on that, it can show you things that you've said that you're going to watch, and you can keep this open as you do things. So if I change this one to 8,000 and press enter, watch these values, you'll see the ones change. If you want something added to your watch window, you can click on it, or even click on a group of cells and say add watch, and then you can say here, and I can delete the watch if I don't want it to appear. And now it will change. If I change that one, it will change in here as well. So good if you're working on multiple worksheets. Not something I use that often though, if I'm being completely honest. So here I can say there are 2 in particular. It's equal formula text, and then it will show me that one. Or if I do it over here, equals formula text for the name, will show me something a lot longer like this. And it is dynamic. So if I change this one to maybe the phone number, then this will change as well. I'm going to just do is I'm going to put a top border. There we go. And then I can drag it down without issues. So another one is equals is formula. And this will just say, is there a formula? Yes or no. So equals is formula, and I can just click on that one. That's true because this is a formula. But if I say equals is formula and do it on this column, where we know there's some things that are and some things that are not, it will show it to me like that, with this one being a false. So where this becomes really, really useful is if you do this with conditional formatting. I've now made every cell with a formula in this color, and it's dynamic, so if this changes to something hard-coded, it will move away. So to get that working, you need to first click in the cell A1 and then Control A to select all of your worksheet. Go to conditional formatting and choose new rule and use a formula. I'm going to say equals is formula, open brackets, click on there and then close brackets. Go to format and then choose a blue color. We haven't quite finished because we want to get rid of these dollar signs. So what you can do is you can press back. That won't work because it will just move it to another cell. But if you press the F2 button on your keyboard, you go into edit mode. And now you can use the arrow buttons. Press OK, and now we'll show you everywhere where there is a formula in that color. Make sure that you didn't press Control A, but the active cell needs to be showing here. If not, it doesn't quite work. If you do this, for example, and you do new rule, A1, and format's going to be this yellow one, for example. Now we'll do it that because it actually thinks that matches this to A1 and this is offsetting it by that much. Usually when you press Control A, you do the same action to all the cells, but with conditional formatting and a couple of other things like trace dependence, it will only work on the one that is actually like this. Speaking about that, if you, I'm going to undo that, Control Z, but if you have multiple cells like this and you go to formulas and trace dependence, it will only look at the active cell. If I do this one, for example, trace dependence, it will only check that one. It won't check others. Another little thing to be aware of is in the review tab, you have workbook statistics. This will tell you how many formulas there are in your current worksheets and current workbook, etc. It doesn't allow you to do many edits or anything like that, but it can be useful to look at. Not as good as GoToSpecial, which I use all the time. I also use it for other things like conditional formatting, data validation, selecting blanks. In different contents, it will be really useful. Or you have precedents and dependents as well, with direct or at all levels. If you like this video, then check out my other stuff because I've got loads of videos on Excel, PowerPoint, Canva, Zoom, Teams, Power BI. If you're using Tech of the Workplace, I'm covering on my channel. I love talking about the new stuff like we've covered in this video. Thanks for watching.